Ms. Williams, give us your full name and your Department of Corrections ID.
Oh, Darren Deshaun Williams, 329307.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Excuse me. My name is Alvin Roche. To my left is Mr. Pete Freeman, and to my right is Mrs. Bonnie Jackson. Let me explain the process to you. I will read some information into the record. Once that information is in the record, we'll conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, we'll give Warden Valgo a chance to make remarks or comments. Before we vote, we'll give you a chance to make a brief statement on your behalf. You understand the process?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Williams, you will be, 50 years old in August?
August 2nd.
Yeah, okay, but in August, you'll be 50 years old.
Yes, sir.
And you are a fourth felony offender. And your offenses, you were convicted of simple burglary as an habitual offender on July 23rd, 2002. Habitual simple burglary, convicted on December 10th, 2003. Attempted simple burglary, and you were convicted in September of 2003. And your original charge was arson with intent to, and I don't have the 1 second. What? Fraud.
With intent to defraud.
Okay. Arson with intent to defraud, and your probation, and you were let out and on good time probation, and you absconded supervision. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Your parole date was August 1st, 2021. You are not eligible for good time, and you have a life sentence. And you're eligible for parole by Act 122 of the Louisiana legislative session of 2021. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Your case has been assigned to Ms. Bonnie Jackson. Would you please answer Mrs. Jackson's questions?
Good afternoon, Mr. Williams. I just want to talk to you a little bit about your situation. You're almost 50 and you've served about 23 years in prison on these charges.
21 in 4 months.
Okay, 21 and 4 months, so 21. You know, Mr. Williams, I was going through your record, you know, it was like all of your burglaries were vehicle burglaries. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And as I looked at it, I said, you know, a life sentence for vehicle burglary seems to be pretty extreme. But, you know, you've had a really poor supervision history. You've been revoked multiple times. You continue to engage in criminal conduct. And obviously you have a substance abuse problem, which you, and I think you're even stealing from your mom because of your addiction to crack. And then I look at your record, and in 2022, you got a write-up for intoxication.
Yeah.
What's that about?
I was sick. I wasn't high at all, to tell you the truth. And something just hit me all of a sudden. And about the time I got ready to go to the bathroom, I had threw up all over the floor. And so they just assumed that I was high or something.
Why would they assume that?
I had no idea, I guess, because I was throwing up, I guess.
Okay, well, in 2021, you had a write-up for contraband. What was that about?
That was some homemade liquor somebody had made and wanted me to pass to another guy. I don't drink, neither do I use drugs, man.
Neither do you use drugs. You have a long history of substance abuse.
Yes, ma'am. Well, be honest with you, that was my main reason why I'm in here now, because of crack cocaine. That stuff will make you do stuff like that. You know, so by me being incarcerated, I decided to just focus on that, my substance abuse. You know.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. Looking at your programs, I see 100 hours of pre-release cage arrays, thinking for change. I do see transactional analysis, which is sort of substance abuse, culinary, and some faith-based programs. But I don't see a lot of attention being paid to the main reason you're here, and that's your substance abuse, your drug addiction. Well, go ahead.
Well, I gave my life to God.
Well, I understand that every inmate says that.
I understand that.
Every inmate says giving your life to God doesn't necessarily mean that you won't ever have the problems you have with addiction.
Yes, ma'am. But I want to be available to continue to serve him. I don't want to have those hang-ups as far as smoking crack.
Okay, I understand that, Mr. Williams. You have to understand, I'm looking at your history.
Yes, ma'am.
Looking at your history. And you have a history of cocaine, crack use going back, to the 90s. Even up until you got that write-up in 2022. And I just don't think you've done anything to address the fact that you've got a serious drug addiction.
Yeah, but after being away from crack cocaine for 21 years, I know what it's done to me.
Yeah,
It's just basically.
But Mr. Williams, if you had gone through some programs, you would understand if you've been away from crack, 30 years. That doesn't mean that you won't go back to it unless you have some tools to help you do that. And you just haven't taken enough programs to try to get yourself in a situation where you're not going to go back. I mean, this is not your first time being in prison. Now, this might have been the longest stint, but you've gone to prison before, and guess what? You came back out and you went right back to the same thing. So prison isn't a cure for drug addiction either. Okay?
Yes, but I understand where you're at. I mean, but being away from him for so long, I want to be available to serve God, and that's a stumbling block for me.
Well, you can serve him where you are right now, but you need to get some help for your addiction, and you haven't done that yet. And until you do that, I'm not comfortable saying you're ready to get out. I can't speak for my fellow board members, but I doubt that they're comfortable until you have gotten serious long-term substance abuse treatment. And until you do that, you're never going to get a vote to release. I'll tell you that right now. You have to do some more work on your substance abuse issues.
I did
Substance
abuse 1 and 2, a transition analysis. I mean, it's really.
But you still don't understand what it means to be an addict. You see, just because you've been away from crack 20 years, that solves the problem, and that does not solve the problem. You haven't learned how to face up to what addiction really means.
Yes, ma'am. But right now I'm taking sober group. Yes, yes, sir.
Ms. Jackson did not ask you a question.
One Talgo, what can you tell us
Well, when he first came to us in 2000.
Tell me about that write-up in 2022, if you have a narrative.
The write-up in 2022, I'll read the body of it to you real quick.
For intoxication.
On the above date approximate time, Lieutenant White was making rounds, observed offender Darren Williams sitting on his bed with bloodshot red eyes, slurred speech, activated the beeper assigned to the unit, and then Lieutenant Colonel Bernard shortly after took over control. It doesn't say anything that he had grown up on himself yet at this point, but he definitely had bloodshot eyes and slurred speech.
Right up.
So tell us again what substance abuse programs you all have there at the prison.
Sober
I
group.
mean, we can, with him right now, we can go back and get him into this, just the basic substance abuse
I'm taking sober.
classes to get him started with, and we can look at long-term as well. He's not had any write-up since 22 on that. We do have other things that we can interview him for and see if he meets criteria, some of our newer programming.
I think he needs more.
Yeah, we've got a lot of opportunity right now for these guys as far as substance use disorder.
Okay.
The thing with it is that just like anything in you guys, they've got to want it.
I understand. Okay. All right, thank you. That's all.
Ms. Jackson, Mr. Freeman. Mr. Williams,
Yes, sir.
would you like to make a brief closing statement?
Well, I thank God for concern, and I haven't used drugs in over 21 years and 4 months. I was throwing up basically, and they assumed that I was high. I've never failed the urine test. Right now, I'm currently in sober group, but I understand where she at. You know, God allowed certain things to happen for a reason. You know, and I just want the opportunity to go out and really just do something other than what I was doing before I got arrested, you know, when I was on crack cocaine, you know. And that's been my main focus throughout my whole incarceration, stay sober, you know. But that incident with the write-up, I just got sick and threw up. They assumed that I was high, but yet no, like I said, I've never failed the urine test and urine analysis for drugs and you know, but I just want the opportunity to just go home. You know, something I've been preparing for the last 21 years and 4 months. You know, I have grandkids now. Be 50 years old next month. You know, God really want to use me, but yet my hands are tied during incarceration. I bet I can really go out, get out, and really make a difference if I just had the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you.
Is the panel ready to vote? Mrs. Jackson.
Mr. Williams, I really, came in wanting to help you because like I said, a life sentence for car burglary is pretty rough. But you gotta give us something to work with. I think you need to take it, your disciplinary record is pretty good. You've only had 17 write-ups, but you had a contraband in 21 and an intoxication in 22, and you haven't taken the kind of programs that are going to help you stay sober. And we don't want to just let you out and have you turn right around and come back. We want to let you out ready to succeed. And I think in order to do that, you've got to have some more programs focused on substance abuse. Warden Falvey says the prison now has a lot of opportunities for people to get into programs that are going to help them with their substance disorder. And you gotta understand that once an addict, you are always an addict. That's just the bottom line. And your life history has demonstrated that to you because every time you were out of jail, you went right back to the same thing. And so that should tell you how powerful addiction can be. And so, you know, I don't think you need to spend the rest of your life in prison over vehicle burglaries, but I do think you need to do some more work. So get with Warden Falvey, get into some of the substance abuse programs, avoid any write-ups at all, and then reapply when you're eligible. But my vote today is to deny.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Mr. Freeman.
I definitely think you need more substance abuse program. I totally agree with her. Call burglaries, you should not be spending life in jail. So, you know, I would look into the STAR program. I know they have it over there. It's a great program. When I complete that program, I would reapply. And I think the results will be different if you could stay right up free and understand more about the problems that you have.
Mr. Williams, I agree with my colleagues. My vote is to deny. You have received 3 votes to deny. Your request for early release has been denied. You have a good day.